Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
This is the part where I sing. Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, and I'm here until midnight tonight with the Ramble. Ladies and gentlemen, the dulcet tones of Larry Bubbles Brown.
Yes, I'm just being grateful that I wasn't on that submersible.
Yeah, well, I had a ticket for it, and we were ready to go, and then
$250,000.
So I called them up afterwards, and I said, "Does that mean that our trip next week is not available?" You know, that's our only submersible. But as soon as we build another one, we'll be happy to call.
Well, you got to give the Titanic some credit. 100 years later, they're still killing people.
Well, Drudge, who is not my favorite place to go for information, did have a headline that read, "Titanic claims another 5 victims." I thought that was good, you know.
Well, I just read the guy that he bought some... that thing was made with metal and carbon fiber, and he bought the carbon fiber from an airplane factory that sold it to him cheap because it was aged and they didn't want to use it.
Really?
Yeah. So that's probably why it popped. And
oh, geez. What happened is the reason it finally went is that as it would go along, okay, every time they would use it, pressure was put on that hull.
Yeah.
And as you're going up and down, that hull compresses and expands. And so it does that over and over and over, and then it's got to create some weaknesses, and that's probably what happened. They probably
exactly,
said,
yeah.
I can't take another in and out on this thing, blam, and these people are all, who knows what became of them. I mean, they're fish food of some sort. They say they found some flesh or something on the remains, you know. But, I mean, these people literally, I think they died instantly. I don't think they even knew what happened to them.
Yeah, they said the only thing was there was a little buzzer that there was a problem, so they might have had an indication that they didn't have long to live. But they said that would be so quick, it'd be like getting hit by an atom bomb.
Yeah. I mean, these people probably still don't know they're dead. That's what I'm saying. No, really, I'm serious. Unless there's some thing up there, you know. Here's a good question. Let's say that we're wrong, okay? Let's say there is, let's not say a heaven, but there's another dimension that we go into, okay? Let's argue that for a second. I mean, let's accept that may be one thing could possibly happen, all right? Who would you want to meet?
Wow, that's a good question.
Because obviously everybody who ever lived is available to you. Now, you may have to go work on finding them, but they're there somewhere.
Maybe Mark Twain?
Really? That's a good one. Well,
yeah, because in the history of comedy, I think his is the only thing that stands up for time.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. But Mark Twain, that's a good one. Mine.
And who would you pick?
I've decided it's Clara Bow.
The It Girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I've been watching documentaries on her lately, and in spite of the fact that my prostate is not in good working condition, I still kind of get a small stiffy. You know, she probably was the sexiest woman ever in movies. But only because she's my type. She was from Brooklyn. She was short. She was cute. I mean, really, really adorably. You people say, when I said Clara Bow, went, who? And
so she was in the 20s?
She was in the 20s. She did silent films.
Silent films, okay.
And she made it into some talkies, but she hated talkie. She had a big fear of the microphone. In fact, she was known at one time, she started hitting a microphone so hard her hands started bleeding.
Jesus.
Yeah, and she had real psychological problems at that point about sound and so on. And when it came to silent films, my God, you watch her in It, or you watch her in any of the films that she made, and you go, that's a cute woman. And by the way, let me say that she was worried about the microphone because she came from Brooklyn. She had this very thick Brooklyn accent.
Oh, okay.
And she made sound films, and it was just fine. I mean, yeah, there's a little accent there. It was cute. You know, it's a Brooklyn kind of accent. You know, it's cute. And she had a good voice. She could sing. They had her sing in one of her films. You know, she had all the things she needed to make it in sound films, and she just couldn't personally take it. And finally, she married this cowboy actor, and they moved to, I think, Arizona, where he ran for Congress and became a congressman. And she just kind of lived a very simple life there. And eventually, they split up because she always was a very unhappy person, because she'd had a very unhappy childhood. But she was a generous person, absolutely a generous person. And there's a great story about it. A kid who wrote her, she always read every one of her fan letters, and she got maybe 10,000 a week. She read them all.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And she got one from a kid who was down in Long Beach, out in Southern California. And he said, I go to the pier every week to sell newspapers to support my family. And it would be a great help to me if you came down one day and sold them with me, because I would sell a lot of them. And all of a sudden, one day, she shows up at this kid's kiosk and sells newspapers. Now, that's a nice person.
That sounds like a great person, yeah.
You know, that's a person who had humble beginnings and didn't forget them. You know, a lot of those people in Hollywood came from very humble beginnings, poor families where they, ate asbestos off the walls, for dinner. Really rough. And then they go to Hollywood to become stars, and they forget that past. And she never did. And Hollywood hated her because she wasn't classy, They considered her déclassée, and it was terrible the way they treated her.
But he was the first sex symbol of film.
So I would like to meet her, and after I die, and I have a lot of questions I want to ask her, and then I want to put the make on her. So, yeah.
Well, I wonder if she encountered the casting couch, but.
Oh, I'm sure she did, and in fact, I think she did, and she kind of rejected it, But one time she invited the entire, an entire football team over to her house for Sunday, to have a party, and to let them use the pool, and have a nice day, because she was a fan of the team. And the rumor started that she then had sex with every member of the team on that occasion. And all she was doing was something nice, So Hollywood, she just didn't have she wasn't, she had the Brooklyn accent, and she wasn't a fancy schmancy person. And she was just a down-to-earth human being, and they hated her for that. So there's your Clara Bow story.
I love silent movies. I wish they'd bring them back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the silent movies, look, silent movies were what they were for the time. And when that was all you had, that was the method you adapted to. In other words, you went to a silent movie and you enjoyed it. They had adventure, and they had action, and they had romance, and they had everything else. And you walked out of the theater and you heard, in many cases in New York, a full orchestra playing the music to the movie. You had a really nice time. But then sound came in, and obviously sound had to happen, just like color had to happen. I mean, what? You're going to go on having silent movies? Of course, at that point, they thought silent movies were a stupid idea. You know, who wants to hear these people when they can see them and they, everything's fine the way it is. And they rejected sound for a long time until finally, the reason that sound was invented. You want to know the real reason sound was invented? It wasn't to have people talk. It was to have a full orchestra playing the music for like they did in New York. Okay, if you go in, as I said, if you go into a theater in New York, like the Roxy or whatever, there was a full orchestra in the pit playing to the movie.
That's incredible.
When you went out to the hinterlands, like Boise, Idaho, you had a guy with a piano or an organ. All right, so how do you get that same symphony orchestra everywhere in the United States? That's why they invented sound, to put music on a music track that would play with the film. They never thought of having anybody talk. And what happened is that they had Al Jolson in The Jazz Singer do a couple of numbers, singing numbers in it, and just beforehand he ad-libbed a few things. And they went, gee, we could use this for people talking too. And that's why it was the first talkie. It wasn't the first sound picture. The first real sound picture that Warner's had put out was a film with John Barrymore called Don Juan. And they had all the music, and then when they had a sword fight, you could hear the swords clanking. It was for sound effects and music. And that's what they considered they were inventing it for. It was a cheap way of getting the symphony orchestra out to Boise, Idaho. So.
Wow.
And, then finally they went to sound, and everybody started making sound movies. And it was just like whatever happens, I always often say that in the 50s, why 3D died so fast is because they made every lousy movie they had on the books in 3D.
The worst.
It wasn't until the very end that they started making a few films in 3D that were big items, like Kiss Me Kate, the musical. Alfred Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder was in 3D. They started to do good films in 3D, but by that time the fad was over with, and that was it. All right. So
that's. I wonder what you will probably know this. What was the first major picture in color?
The first major picture in color was a picture called Becky Sharp.
Really, I never heard of it.
That was full Technicolor.
And this would be mid-30s.
Mid-30s, yeah. I think there may have been some shorts of stuff where they tested out the three-color stuff with, but the first actual color, three-color Technicolor. In other words, before they had Technicolor, but they used only two parts of the spectrum. I think they left green out. Okay? So what you got was basically color based on just a red and blue combination. And there were some films like Murders of the Wax Museum, big film, was in color like that. Fairbanks's The Black Pirate was in two-color Technicolor.
Okay, I would have guessed like Gone with the Wind in 39 Wizard of Oz.
No, it was Becky Sharp, and that I think was 1935, if I'm not mistaken.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was an expensive process, and it was a very bulky process because they had to shoot 3 films to make up the color, and they had to be in this big, giant behemoth of a camera in order to do it. And so it really, for years, was a very expensive process. And
when you think about it, most of the films in the 40s are still black and white.
Yeah. I mean, you made a musical in color. You did something that had, something like Gone with the Wind. You had to do color. This was the big film, But black. And I'll tell you what bothers me is that we don't make more black and white films.
Love black and white.
Well, the kind of photography that you did with black and white was amazing. I mean, there were some of the best photographers known to the business all did their work initially in black and white. There was a guy, a cinematographer by the name of William Daniels. He worked in silent films, and he was the specified director of photography on any film that Garbo did, because Garbo said nobody made her look better than William Daniels. And that's what cinematographers did. You know, they had a specialty. They were very good at something. Maybe they were good at landscapes or whatever. This guy was pretty good at Garbo's face. You know, made her look gorgeous. So he went on later on to be the director of photography on Star Trek TV show. But, you know, that's how far down you can go. But William Daniels was, major. And there was a guy named James Wong Howe. Was the only Asian really working in films for years. And he was an amazing cinematographer. The movies he does are just amazing. And I'm trying to remember who did Citizen Kane. There was a good cinematographer there, too. But, you know, the ability to do black and white and to make it just, how can I put it, just radiate. You didn't need color. You know?
No, black and white just set such a good mood.
Well, I mean, some movies I would not make in black and white, but what happens is we do things to the exclusion of everything else. I mean, the question is, once sound came in, should they maybe have gone and done some silent films still? You know, I mean, if you're going to make a movie with Buster Keaton, he went over to MGM and he made some sound pictures. They did one terrible thing. They tried to team him, you know, in pictures with Jimmy Durante. Now, if you can, those two are just not meant to be not even meant to show up in the same room together. Okay, I mean, Durante was terrific, but he wasn't, you know, putting him. Well, anyway, what they should have done with Keaton is they should have done what Chaplin kept doing. Chaplin kept making silent films for a while because he said that's what people expect out of me. And people went to see his silent films. He didn't stop making silent films because, you know, I think his first sound film was The Great Dictator, if I'm not mistaken. And then for the first time, The Little Tramp spoke, and it wasn't bad, you know. But, I mean, silent films should have allowed to continue to exist, but what we do is something comes in like sound or whatever, and we do everything to the exclusion of that. And so they never made silent films again. Till there was that novelty a few years ago that won the Academy Award, The Artist, that was silent. You know, but there it was just a gimmick, you know. And the same thing is true with color. Everything's in color. You go to a movie, it's in color. That's it. There's no question about it. So I think we've lost a lot of aesthetics. You know, that we're great aesthetics. That's me.
Well, you should teach film history.
Nah, I don't. You know something? I don't know that as much about it as a lot of other people do. I mean, my friend Shecky, you know, half the stuff I learned about about film, I learned from Shecky. You know, he was my professor. Yeah. Everything I learned from him. So good, you know, terrific. But we when we finally get certain kind of technology, we do everything to the exclusion of the old technology, and it's time that we kind of like, you know, say, hey, let's look at the past. Hey, this picture would probably be better in black and white than in color, you know. But we don't do that anymore. So what the hell? I'm old fashioned.
Yeah.
You know,
what was the first color TV show?
Wow. Well, that goes back to '53, I think, when RCA first introduced color, and they would do occasional programs in color in order to promote it and try and get people to buy what few color TV sets were available out there. And I think they were something like $500 a piece, and at that time that was a lot of money. Okay. And as I remember it, the first color program, I never saw it in color because we didn't have a color TV set. I had a friend who had a color TV set. I'd go over and watch color TV on his set when occasionally they would do a show in color.
And they were terrible.
and it was called Producer's Showcase. And that show was on every week in color. I think they did Peter Pan on Producer's Showcase, if I'm not mistaken. The first version of Peter Pan's in black and white. The second version was in color the next year that they did it. So you had color sporadically during that time, and it was usually only on NBC. And then suddenly in about, I think it was 1963 maybe, I remember NBC saying all our shows are going to be color. And that year, all their shows were sent out in color. So people started swarming out to buy color TV sets. And then CBS said, well, we'll do color, nothing but color shows. And then ABC said it. And finally, television was color. Mm-hmm. You can't turn on your TV set and get black and white unless you turn down the color.
Yeah.
In fact, this interview with Bubbles is in black and white.
Black and white.
You don't realize that. So we got to get you somewhere. Let's hope you get your as soon as you get your high-speed internet.
Okay. I'll let you know.
I will send you a camera. Okay. In fact, I may even buy you a brand spanking new camera, because there's some very good ones that are very inexpensive. You just hook that into your computer, and then we can actually see.
Well,
people
I'm sure I wouldn't be able to figure out how to do it.
I'll walk you through it. Okay.
You would have to.
You have a USB port in the back. You just click that in, and then you bring it. Now you see, Bubbles doesn't want to do it because he figures he doesn't want to be seen.
Man.
And yet this is a guy who for his whole life has gone on a stage, done his act, and wants to be seen. So I don't understand it. It makes no sense.
No, even
me.
doing my act, I didn't want to be seen. So.
You wanted to turn your back to
if
the
they
audience.
could have darkened the stage, I would have performed that way.
Oh, you're a treat, really.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I would have loved that.
Well, to me, the greatest silent film comedian of all time was Buster Keaton. There was nobody better. This guy did
literally. It was amazing he wasn't killed. The stunts he did.
Oh, amazing stuff. But the thing is that he never had an expression on his face.
He didn't. No. That thing that he does with that. Where the frame of the house falls over him,
and he just looks both ways and goes, "What happened here?" Yeah, and his comedy was based on that stoicism. He had one thing that he did where he was on a rowboat, and for some reason it gets a hole in it, and it starts sinking. And as it's sinking, he's just looking at the camera with a blank expression on his face. And then he suddenly realizes what's happening, and rather than his face doing it, he turns his head both ways like, "Oh, I'm sinking." And there was no expression. He did more with no expression on his face than any comedian could possibly do, because he knew how to use his whole body. Do you know
amazing.
You know who named him Buster?
No.
His parents were very they were in show business, and they were very close to Harry Houdini. And Houdini was over at the house one day, and the kid comes running down the stairs and then tumbles, hits the step wrong, tumbles down the stairs, and he was very good at, like, they could pick him up and throw him across the room and he would land on his feet. Okay, he was very good at this, and he just tumbled, and Houdini looked at him and went, "Boy, that's a buster." It was kind of an expression for some kind of tumble or something in show business. And so from then on, he was Buster Keaton. Worked in his family's with his family's act, and they brought him on stage as a midget, and as an adult midget. They even put like mustaches on him and whatever. And they would then do things like pick him up and just throw him into the scenery, and he would He was very light, and that's where he learned all that tumbling, those amazing things he was able to do. So yeah,
he must have been so arthritic in his last years.
Yeah, another guy I would like to meet. Another guy I would like to meet.
That he does have like the best deadpan face ever.
The Alex Bennett show in heaven is going to start Clara Bow and Buster Keaton.
Sounds good.
Anyway, it looks like we got to go here.
Gotta go.
And we'll talk to you next time, my friend. Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
The bubs. Okay, let me lower my head here. I gotta see my head is there. See, but I can bring it down here. There we go. Alrighty, and bring it over just a little bit. There we go. There we go. All right. Anyway, just trying to do it so it looks good, folks. So it looks good. What does Josh Wheeler write me? Thank you. They got it fixed. I'll jump on. Okay. Jeff Wheeler didn't think he was going to be able to make it tonight, but he's going to be able to make it tonight. Okay. So let me bring in all these people here. All of them seem to look to be normal and right and so on. So
all of them seem to look to be normal
okay, Jeff.
Seem to look to be normal.
How's that?
Yes, Jeff. Why don't you do that before you come on?
I do. You're right.
You think you do, but you don't. You don't. Yeah. That's okay. That's all right, Jeff. You know, we understand. I'm getting that way myself. Okay, so just you show me your whole face too. You know, we don't like the Kilroy is here look. It was here. Anyway, that's Jeff, ladies and gentlemen, the guy.
Guys.
Let me bring. I got to bring these people on here. There we go. Okay, there's Jeff over there. That's Jeff. Okay, and that's Ray over there, and down there below me is Vernon Nunn, and over there, kind of down here, I got to see how to do this. There we go. That's yeah. And then we got Charlie over there.
That's me.
Yeah.
Must be Alan over there.
Must be Alan over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how are you all doing?
Good. Yeah. Tired.
Yeah.
It's a week.
See, and then once I sink into the seat here, I need to take this thing and move it up. Okay. So you see, there we go. Isn't that wonderful? Anyway, so so you're all doing okay tonight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. It's weird being the same age as old people. I see. Okay. Yeah. Are you consider yourself old?
73 is pretty old.
Yeah, 83 is really old. Okay, so don't give me any lip, you young punk. You know, how old are you, Alan?
64.
64. Okay, see, he's even a younger punk than we are.
Ray is the youngster here.
Yep.
Ray is the youngster. Well, how old are you, Ray?
61.
61.
61.
You don't look a day over 70.
Is there anybody here who isn't under 60? No, I guess not. I guess if Josh calls, I think he'd be the youngest one of all of us. Yeah. But he's oldest in spirit, I think. He's an old soul. Yeah. So anyway, I just today I was watching all the news. The big news, the big news is this the actors strike. Which I'm getting a little sick of because, quite frankly, so what if we don't get a bunch of bad TV shows and lousy movies, okay? Do we really care? All right?
I don't care. I got plenty of stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Plus, here's my suggestion to all of you. If the movie industry doesn't want to pay actors what they should get paid, and they don't want to go away with some of the outlandish demands of the union, because there are some outlandish demands in the union proposal. See, I don't care about it because this is an actor's strike. It's not a radio or television strike. People say to me, well, gee, Alex, I mean, you're part of that union. Don't you go on strike too? No. Do any of your local news people, are they going on strike? No. They're all SAG-AFTRA. Why? Because this strike isn't about broadcasting. The only place where it is about broadcasting is in the shows that are on film or pre-taped, okay? Things that are on like Netflix and so on and so forth. But when it comes to your local newscast, they don't care. When it comes to the people who do radio who are represented by that union, they don't care, And quite frankly, they don't care for the 80,000 actors in this country who don't work.
Yep.
Okay, because they don't give them the insurance, the medical insurance they should get, and they're never out there fighting to get more people working. Okay, but I looked up the statistic tonight: 80% of all actors are not working. Okay, and probably most of them are members of the union. You're a member of the union, aren't you, Ray?
I sure am, and I'm not working right now.
Yeah. So,
I don't work much.
You don't work much, right?
No.
So what?
Maybe once a year I get a SAG thing.
Yeah. So what are they doing to get more people working?
They do nothing.
Yeah.
None of the performing unions do anything to get people working. None of them.
Well, it's kind of, if you think of it in terms of unions. Let's see if this is actually what he says he is here. If this really is Bree. Let's see here. Bree, is that you? Bree, is that you? I don't think it is going to be. I think that it's not Bree. Okay.
Picture.
Well, no, see, Bree's audio. Bree, can we hear you? No.
Please give me one moment to get everything.
That's not
I just
Bree.
need a few moments.
No.
Please go ahead.
Sounds like him.
Yeah, you can hardly wait to get the porn on, right? Phony Bree.
Where are you located at, Bree?
Please give me a few moments to get everything.
Where are you, Bree? You're not going to get any pictures on here. Oh, there. Wait a minute. That is Bree?
Yeah. That's
Wait a minute. I have to check this out because one time somebody actually ran a video. Is that you, Bree?
It's me. Can you see me or not?
Okay, that is Bree. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we can see you.
Son of a bitch. Okay, well, lately we have people who say they're other people and then they're not, and so on.
Okay.
So I'm, with great trepidation now, I'm putting, there's Bree. Where are you, Bree?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
You're
in the U.S. Oh, okay.
What happened? Did they throw you? Did they throw you out of Indonesia or wherever you were?
I was actually just in Germany, in Leipzig and Dresden.
Oh, really? What were you doing there?
Well, it's a long story, but in high school, I was an exchange student, and I put my name in the back of a magazine. It was a music magazine. It had Nana 99 red balloons on the front.
Right.
Over a period of 3 months, I received over 42,000 letters from all over Europe and the world. And from that, I managed to have about 100 pen pals. So I was visiting a pen pal that I visited 33 years ago after the wall came down, and her mother and father. And so I was visiting them after 33 years to see the changes in Dresden since the war, since the wall came down.
And what are that? Was that East Germany at the time?
It was, yeah. So
And
I have a lot of interesting stories from that time.
what kind of changes? It's got to be.
Well, the big one is most people probably remember the Frauenkirche, the church that was bombed during the war, and the East German government, and of course the Russians, left it like that. They wanted it as a remembrance and a reminder of what the West had done. Well, 33 years ago when the wall fell, they didn't immediately start to rebuild, but in 2004, 2005, they rebuilt it. And my pen pal's mother was an official state photographer, so she showed me the reconstruction. And my pen pal told me she felt a renewed sense of belonging to the city of Dresden since it's been rebuilt.
Oh, okay. So you had a nice time, did you?
Yeah. And I was working on a project in Leipzig with some colleagues from around the world.
Well, we have Phil here, who coincidentally was responsible for the bombing of that church.
Hey, I thought I'd see a bunch of you union scabs on the show tonight. You know, how does it feel to trounce on your brother union members?
No.
You know, oh, they don't count. They're not broadcasters.
No.
That's brother members.
Wait, that's not what I'm saying.
I know but you know
what I'm saying is, I think it's time that AFTRA quit SAG and go back to being its own union again, because obviously we're not getting the representation we should have, nor do they care about us as much as they care about a guy, you know, who's acting. And who's acting? The people that they want to help with all of this are the actors in movies, because they're afraid of AI and making people look like people they aren't and so on. But who does that apply to? Tom Cruise cares about that, but Ray doesn't. You know, I mean, it's an elitist union, okay, and it needs to be less elitist. I mean, unions to me were tough-ass organizations. My father was a member of the Musicians Union. There was no tougher union out there for talent.
They would take those violins and they'd rack them over those old ladies' heads, you know, left and right.
How would you like it if your trumpets didn't play anymore? Yeah, you know. But I mean, but this is such an elitist union, you know. At any time when I used to try and I'd go to like an after meeting, for instance, and I'd say, you know, this is a union and we're all union workers and we're laborers just like any other. And they go, oh, we're not laborers. I mean, that was their attitude. We're not laborers.
Wasn't everybody called Bill? And, you know, you would say, you know, my name's Alex and I'm an alcoholic. Wait, oh, you know, isn't that the meeting you went to?
No.
Oh.
That's not the meeting I went to. But, you know, I mean, I just find it. I mean, do you agree with me, Ray? Am I wrong about this? And you know.
No, I completely agree with you, Alex.
And that's
do not.
Yeah.
Huh? They do nothing. They do nothing for the journeyman actor, as it were. They've done nothing to try to get business back in the Bay Area when it disappeared 25 years ago.
Yeah.
They don't care about. All they care about is Hollywood and the big names.
Right.
That's it.
I thought unions were there to collect the dues. You know, and so that
I don't pay dues anymore.
No,
I am a senior member, and at a certain age, they don't charge you dues any longer.
Yeah,
that's how long I've probably been a member of SAG-AFTRA longer than Fran Drescher.
Now, I remember you joining the union as a signatory. You were living in Sausalito.
Well, that was as a signatory. My company was a signatory.
Yeah. I remember, you know, that the conversation.
Yeah, but no, I go back to Chicago, 1967, maybe 1966, around there, that I first joined AFTRA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess how many years is that? You know,
A long time.
and when did the
66. I was 13,
nanny go on the air? You know,
Oh, that was like my mother loved that show.
That's what
I
they-
would say she was on a while.
Not as long as I've been. Not as long as
Tony.
I don't think she's had her SAG-AFTRA card as long as I have.
I don't think so. No,
She's not as old as that. How old is she?
She's got it. How old is she? 60.
She's an old
Look
bag.
that bad.
She looks terrible.
Well, I mean, she didn't look as good as she looked when she was doing the show.
Did she look good when she was doing the
I
show?
thought so. I thought she was a good-looking gal.
Yeah.
You know, but when she opened her mouth, she sounded like Tony, and took away all the sexiness.
That's why my mother liked it. She was from Queens. Yeah, she had that accent.
Well, I always loved that. I always loved the accent. I just
Yeah, she was entertaining. I think she was raped, Alex, as a young child. I think she had an encounter. I can remember saying something in an interview.
And that's important to this conversation. How?
I don't know. I remember seeing it.
But no,
Grand Dresser is 65.
she's 65. When did Spinal Tap come out? Right, because that's the first time I ever saw her in anything. And she would have had to have joined SAG at that point.
Well, if she's 65, I'm 69. That's 4 years. I was 13 in 67, so she would have been 9 in 67.
Somebody's not telling the truth about her age.
Oh, really?
I don't know. That's what it says on Google.
Well,
It says 65.
that makes sense. Alex just said that he joined in 67.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, how old would that have made her?
Of course, I belonged to other unions before that. I belonged to IBEW, as I said last night, which represented broadcasters at small stations because they represented people who ran control boards, which in the early days I did, you know. So how long are you here for, Bree?
I'm only here for a couple of days. And I apologize for my internet. There was a major storm here yesterday, and they're expecting another one tonight. And the repair guys have been out in the neighborhood most of the day. So
Pennsylvania.
Well, what we're having right now here is we're having a thunderstorm.
It was bad over here.
Yes.
Oh, this morning
You probably-
it woke me up. It
The
woke
dogs
me
are
up.
barking, scared.
Yeah.
I think
You know why
were
you're
dead.
having that weather? It's because you crossed the picket line. That's why.
I never cross a picket line, okay? I only crossed a picket line once in my life, and it was to go and screw the company they were picketing against, okay? So it was Time Life, and I had to go there because we had this whole thing with Midnight Blue and having to have a discussion with the mucky mucks with my lawyer. And they said, "Oh, don't cross the picket line." And we said, "We're going up there to screw them, okay?" And they went,
Did Henry
"Oh, okay,
Luce
go
own
right
that?
ahead." And they all applauded.
Did Henry Luce own that at that time?
No, he didn't. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That was
stop
Phil
my
trying to
video.
show he knew Henry Luce owned Time.
No, I actually named my second daughter after his granddaughter.
Bitch.
That's not nice.
I am going to kill the video and my microphone while I eat, but I'm going to listen in.
Wait a minute.
What do
Go
you
ahead,
have?
eat. We don't care.
Yeah, it might add something.
Yeah. So anyway, so what you're going back? Where are you going back to Malaysia?
No. I'll be going back to Germany
Yeah.
and then back to Dubai and then back to Malaysia.
Okay. Now, why do you travel why do you go to Dubai? Because you worked there for a while.
I used to work there, and I'm looking forward to seeing some friends.
Oh, I see. So you're really seeing a lot of friends. Boy, it's thundering outside.
It's almost 100
Yeah,
degrees here. It's like 98.
We had that last night, and it was, this is a wonderful developing country, developing nation here, because you have a storm come through, power goes out, internet goes out. We have storms every other day in Malaysia. I've never lost power. I've never lost the internet.
God
I came into
bless
Charlotte
America.
Welcome to America. Yeah.
I can give you so many examples of how America is not what you think. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Did I ever exactly act like I thought it was anything wonderful?
Hey, Bree.
I think you knew. Alan.
Just remember, during Mussolini's reign, the trains ran on time too. So things were really good in Italy.
Here's the thing. If people, more people left the United States to go on holiday, to go see another country and to be in another country for a little while, they would get to see that there's some countries that handle themselves much better than we do, and not in any perceptible way, except that, things are okay there. Things are not bad in England, things are not bad in France, things are not bad in, people who say America is the greatest country in the world. Well, you haven't been to Spain, you haven't been to Italy, you haven't been to a lot of different places. Yes, Ray.
Yeah, I just spent a month in Portugal, and that place is amazing. Everything's fantastic. The people are so nice. Everything works. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was such a great country.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I found a lot of countries that if I were younger, I would be moving to right now. Also, if I could speak the language better and do a radio show.
They say Portugal. They say Portugal is a great place to retire for,
Yeah.
A lot of American expats there. Yeah.
Portugal's a wonderful country, and Spain right next to it is terrific too.
So is Philippines.
Yeah, I went to Spain as well. It was amazing.
Spain's terrific. I love Spain. But no, last night, I woke up, I guess it had to be at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and the thunder was just amazing.
I had the same thing.
It was like I was in the middle of a horror film or something, and Frankenstein was out there sticking the electricity to the monster. I mean, it was just incredible. And Marjorie said it scared me, and I said, well, it doesn't scare me. What it does, it makes me feel cozy, because all this, God is like using a bowling alley up there, and it's terrible, but you're inside and you're under the covers, and it can't hurt you,
Yeah, but the locusts and the famine, that's coming next.
Yeah, well, do you know that in the next couple of days, it's supposed to wind up being, are you ready for this, in Death Valley?
130, right?
I think 140. Somebody said.
Wow. Jeez.
And if that's true, that will be the hottest recorded temperature ever on planet Earth.
I drove through there to go to the Pahrump, Nevada a couple of times, and it is just beautiful. That Death Valley. There are these like plateaus where the wind has just created these magnificent.
It's supposed to be wonderful, but don't run out of gas.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat.
Oh yeah, it's a dry heat at 140. The bottoms of your shoes are going to stick to the pavement. All right. Yes, Ray.
What's that in Celsius?
I just wanted to tell. I've been to Death Valley.
Celsius.
10% off.
I've been to Death Valley several times, and one time I went and we took this dirt road to the middle of nowhere in Death Valley, and there was about a 3-foot wide pond. I guess it was a well, and it was like 110, 120, and there was a duck in the pond in the middle of Death Valley. It was so weird, just swimming around in this little in this little well.
Have you ever been to the Great Salt Lake?
No. Yeah,
I have. That's weird. That
is weird.
You know what you can do on the Great Salt Lake? You can walk
Nothing.
across it.
Walk on.
Oh
water.
yeah.
Yeah, you can walk on water, literally.
Yeah.
It's we have some. I'll tell you, the thing that Americans don't do is they really don't travel around the United States much, because there's some great places to go. It's a beautiful country.
My cousins are here. Whoops, my laundry's done. I'm gonna go get my laundry.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
That?
Yeah. What were you saying though?
Well, my cousins are here, and they went to Sugar Creek yesterday, and Hershey today. So they're traveling around. They're from Nevada and Texas.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some places in this country that when Shecky and I traveled across the United States, I mean, we went to Monument Valley, for instance, which is just
Moab.
Why are you mentioning these all of a sudden?
No, Moab is Monument Valley.
No, it's not.
No?
Monument Valley is Monument Valley.
Oh.
It's where John Ford did all his westerns. That, and there was another place near it that he also did them as well. It's gorgeous, beautiful. It's just incredible.
That whole area, Bryce and Zion. And
yeah,
Monument
we
Valley.
went to Bryce and we went to Zion.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Yeah. So,
Anybody hear from Rob Alfano, who's living in the Philippines?
I haven't heard from him lately. Every now and then I'll reach out to him and he'll write me right back.
Well, I'll be in the Philippines August 10th, 11th, and 12th if he's around.
It sounds to me like you're almost like you're a comedian who's saying, well, and then I'll be in the Philippines from August 15th to August 27th, and then I'll be in Moab, Utah,
How many shows a day?
I'll be in Tokyo.
You're going to be in Tokyo.
But back in the Philippines in November.
Yeah. But, we're planning on doing some vacationing, and I'd love to go back to China, but you can't do it anymore. I mean, you can do it, but
wear that shirt and that hat you got, and they'll accept.
Oh yeah,
you.
yeah, they'll accept me. I mean, I love China, boy. I mean, just a beautiful country, and I just think it's a shame that what could be a real paradise, and I'm saying that it has the possibilities of being a real paradise. It's being screwed up by the politics,
China's amazing.
Yeah.
It has some of the most beautiful land.
Yeah. No, it's. I
love it.
went to the Lee River. And
Guilin.
And Guilin, yeah.
Yangshao, all the way over there.
And took the riverboat down the river. And I mean, it's just, you just sit there, you're gasping every minute of the trip. Just amazing.
I did that.
Just amazing. But anyway, so I mean, I just think that Americans should do traveling. They would have more of an appreciation for the way the rest of the world lives as well. You've been around, haven't you, Vernon? Or have you never left the bluegrass in Kentucky?
I lived down on the Gulf Coast for 3.5 years. That's where we adopted our daughter.
Yeah, but have you been out of the country at all?
Not to live, no.
Or to travel?
Well, I've traveled. I've done Caribbean cruises and things like that.
Yeah, but like for instance, going to Europe or going to the
My wife has been to Europe, but I have not.
Yeah, you really should. I think you'd be amazed by it.
Even just go to Mexico and make an effort to stay in a Airbnb, like where people live, and you'll just have a completely different view of the world.
Yeah. In fact, well, if you're going to be in Malaysia, just drop by and see Bree.
Yeah.
You have an extra room, don't you?
Well, we used to, but but the thing is, you can get dirt cheap accommodation in Malaysia. You can get a 4-star hotel for $50 a night.
Really?
If you want, if you want a 2 or 3-star, $25 a night.
Wow.
Oh.
There's a boutique near me. That's about $25, $30 a night. You'd really like it.
Wow. Okay. What he's telling me is, no, you can't stay with us. You got to get it.
No, but you can absolutely stay. Absolutely. We have a sofa bed in the living room.
I think we'll stay at the hotel.
Actually, yeah, we do have an extra room that is my study, and we just put a bed in there.
Yeah. So are you working now, or it sounds like you're not working? You're doing a lot of traveling, or you have a hiatus, or what?
No, I'm still working. So yeah, around 8 or 9 o'clock at night here, my emails start to get hot and heavy. Of course, now it's Saturday there, so I'm not getting the emails, but I will start getting the emails Sunday night at around 9, because it will be Monday morning there. So yeah,
So
everything can be done online nowadays. Most things.
Yeah. So
I thought you were teaching.
Yeah, I do. I do it online mainly, just like during COVID. So everybody's used to that, and I use the same Zoom technology primarily. So yeah, it's okay. Just the timing's a little strange.
Yeah. Well, so otherwise, let's see here. Anything happening in the news? Is there anything? Let's ask Phil. Phil, is there anything you'd like to complain about?
I didn't listen to the news today. It's hot, damn hot. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the news too. Is it?
Oh well, the Republicans are complaining that the cocaine investigation dropped too soon. That it was only 10 days, and it could have been anthrax. Well, maybe they would have done us a favor if it was anthrax,
Yeah.
Well, no, we would have gotten Kamala. So I'm glad it was coke.
Kamala.
Well, no, it just bothers me. It just bothers me that they made such a big deal out of this. I mean, come on. It was a little baggie like that of coke, and it was nothing. Yeah. And yet it's like the Republicans are going, oh, this is a tragedy. How can they get into the White House? Oh, it's terrible. You're going to tell me there's never been any cocaine in the White House? Are you kidding me?
I'm sure.
Are you kidding me? And I'm not saying under a Democratic, under a Republican too.
There's been Cuban cigars in the White House, whether it was John F. Kennedy or Clinton.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Bree? He had his hand up.
Yeah, Alex, I'm feeling a little jet lag, so I'm going to probably I'll listen in as I head to bed.
Well, it was nice of you to join us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, there is one item that I wanted to get everyone's opinion on, and I mean, I hope everyone will think that I, am into the little green men. But a couple of weeks ago, News Nation was reporting on a fellow Pittsburgher who was a whistleblower about, the UAPs and this,
or as we used to call them, UFOs.
Right.
Yeah.
And they say, he says that we have craft, and Barack Obama has been on record as saying, yes, there are things that are up there, we don't know what they are, and it just seems like this doesn't get a lot of attention. So I wondered what everybody thought about this, like what is going on with
well I think to begin with, UFOs are a product not only of our imagination but of our feeling that we're so important that people would want to come visit us. I think that I like the newer UA, what do they call them now? UAP, which stands for unidentified
aerial
phenomena. Yeah, which that's good for calling it that. The reason why we've called them UFOs all these years is there've been something in the air that we saw for whatever reason that's unidentified. And as soon as it's identified, it's not unidentified anymore. For all that we've seen with UFOs over the years, how come we haven't, when we went to the moon, how many Hasselblad cameras did we leave there, and garbage and poop and everything else that's probably sitting there on the surface of the moon? But somehow, these aliens are so pristine, they never leave anything behind.
Clean people.
Huh? They're clean people.
They have.
Huh? They have? You say they have?
They left Trump behind.
What about the hieroglyphics that they found in caves?
There was a device they found in the Mediterranean that was an early, they say, PC that shouldn't have existed at that time.
Now, where did you hear about this, though? The question is, where did you hear about this? Because
News Nation.
What?
Is News Nation a right wing?
No. It used to be called what, WGN?
Cuomo.
WGN, I think, and it became
Cuomo's
News
on there
Nation.
now.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, and
Cuomo is on there now.
Yeah.
Bainbridge. I like it. I think it's a good.
Yeah, but
station.
I just don't. I've always, as long as I've been alive, first thing I heard in the 50s when I was a kid, UFOs. Everybody went crazy about UFOs. And the fact of the matter is that I don't think they amount to anything. They're just simply unidentified because we can't figure out what they are. And a lot of times they can be...
But what about the white Tic Tac?
The white Tic Tac? That's exactly what it was, a white Tic Tac, and they're delicious.
The Air Force took pictures of it. You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I've just been very, and I'm somebody who would love to believe this stuff. I mean, you know how I'm very much into science fiction, and I'm very much into science fact and space and the moon and Mars and all of that. And yet with all of that, I've never come to believe they're really UFOs. I'm not saying there aren't people that are somewhere else in the galaxy or in the universe. But the question is why they came to see us. What's so interesting about us? And that's why I'm saying it's an ego trip when we think that these people are coming to see us.
Well, I look at it this way, Alex, and that is to say, we walk around every day and there are ants beneath our feet, and you and I don't look at that. However, there are people in schools and universities who are fascinated by ants and absolutely want to study them. So I think,
well, I don't know how
there would be some.
I don't know how that pertains to this. What makes us so interesting that people from another planet would want to come here and see us? And if they did want to see us, wouldn't they want to talk to some of us? Wouldn't they want to investigate further?
They do.
Oh, they
Maybe
do?
They do.
Oh, I've never been talked to by an alien, except possibly Phil,
Donald Trump.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to bid adieu. I wanted to check in.
Well, great. Great seeing you.
Maybe I'll check in from Germany or Dubai.
Okay.
On the next time.
Great, Bree. Talk to you later.
Nice to see you all.
That's our friend Bree, ladies and gentlemen. But anybody have any comments about UFOs?
I do.
Yes.
This is kind of weird, but there's a theory, like with the ant thing that he brought up, that there are possibly more than 3 dimensions, and like ants can't recognize us as beings other than some strange vision that they see, some large thing moving around. It could be the same for us, that there are other dimensions and we only get glimpses.
But ants live in this dimension. You see, using that analogy is wrong because ants live in this dimension. Wait a minute. Let's talk to the physicist.
We might live in the other dimension too.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk to the physicist in our crowd, Charlie Wallace. Charlie, your thoughts on UFOs?
Oh, I think UFOs are actually phenomenon that phenomena that occur on Earth. They're from the Earth. We just don't know what they are.
Yeah, and that's
I'm
why they're
not
called
sure.
that's why they're unidentified, right?
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Do you think they get air miles with all of that flying around?
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing is they would be light years away. I mean, if they, they would have to have some way of traveling that we have no idea.
Look, I'm not going to say that there's not life in the rest of the universe. There definitely is. It would be ridiculous to sit here and say there isn't life elsewhere. It may not be life like you and I. It might be plant life. Okay. It might be water life. Any one of a number of things, and not necessarily human beings walking around on two legs. Okay, but there is life on other planets. I'm sure of it. Because the universe, how big is the universe, Charlie? What's the current status on that?
Oh, it changes so often. I don't know.
Well, it's expanding. It's still expanding, right? Yeah.
Well, it hadn't expanded that much in 73 years, so I don't.
As much as my waistline? Yeah. But
I think it's something like, it's supposed to be like 40 billion light years across or something like that.
Yeah.
We can't actually see the edge of the universe because it hasn't been enough time for it to travel to the Earth.
What is beyond the universe, do you figure?
Well, same thing that's between atoms.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's empty space.
So are we basically an atom?
Well,
no one knows.
Yeah.
See, I mean, yes, Jeff.
I've been looking a little bit through my wife about what's going in Mars. And there's some research that's going on in Mars. And they have some very small instruments that are able to run around and find out what it's like.
Well, then we actually have a helicopter up there.
Yeah.
And they're giving people, the device is giving information all over the world. And they can communicate with the Mars and ultimately with us, but probably a bunch of other facilities that we can't easily communicate directly. But through these devices, it's easier for them.
But is there life on Uranus? That's the question.
No, there's life in my Uranus. There's life in Uranus. There we go.
Maybe I had a girlfriend like that once.
It's funny, we're talking about UFOs, and look, there's one right outside Ray's window there. Oh, wait a minute. That's called the moon, I guess.
I saw that.
No, that's not. There's nothing there.
Oh.
There's nothing there.
It's a ceiling light reflecting off his window.
Oh, geez.
That's right. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing with Mars is that there is no life on Mars. It's a dead planet. It had life at one time. It had rivers, it had lakes, and it may have even had life there. But today, there's not a lot of life there. Nothing that we can say is life.
It used to have a thicker atmosphere too. Now it's just so thin.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a planet that at one time was a living, breathing planet. And what was I told? The reason why it died, but we don't die, has something to do with the stratosphere or something, keeping the atmosphere in the planet. Am I right about that? What am I thinking of there, Charlie? The reason why they lost their atmosphere, they lost their life there, and whatever.
A lot of the solar wind effect.
That was it.
Affect us because of the ozone layer and the stratosphere and all that stuff. And Mars doesn't have an ozone layer.
Right, and that was
why? Because they were using all those sprays and aerosols.
Yeah,
that's what did it.
Well,
yeah, they were trying to kill all the bugs.
Yeah, they're trying to kill all the bugs. But no, I think that it's a what happened to What happened to Tony? He just disappeared, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He was abducted.
Yes,
It-
that's
Oh,
exactly what I
that's
was
it.
thinking.
Or anal probing him.
They were-
He's getting probed anally.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is
Like-
it the aliens? They must be gay aliens, okay? Because every time anybody talks about being abducted by aliens, they got anally probed. Now,
What if you
what
claim
is
to
the
be an alien?
fascination with human anuses that these aliens have?
What if you just claim to be an alien?
Because they have Klingons.
There is a joke
Yeah,
there. I mean,
Klingon.
you're almost on the edge of a joke there. It didn't quite land, but you were on the edge of it. It was pretty good.
They're a lot
too.
better than Phil's jokes.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
He's a professional. It's not fair.
But there's just something about these orifices that just fascinate people. So
Fascinate
No,
aliens.
they don't fascinate people. They fascinate aliens.
yeah, well, we're interpreting what the aliens are.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And I'm
Although they do fascinate.
I'm sure that if aliens were going to come here, they would certainly make their presence better known. You know, I mean, if they are anything like we are, they have scientists and they are explorers, and that's why they found our planet and they came here. Wouldn't they want to find out more about it?
Yeah.
And we have no example of that ever happening. You know, so.
Yeah.
But
Bummer.
yeah,
Yeah.
It would be cool if there was aliens,
yeah.
wouldn't it?
Well,
As long as they were nice. As long as they were nice aliens.
Well, I
was
would
a
like to
TV
be
show.
I would like to be president of the United States for only one reason, and that's because I can then find out what all the secrets are.
That's what Trump
Yeah.
knows.
Area
and they
51.
wouldn't let him keep them.
Well, they
Yeah.
Yeah.
well they were careful about what they told Trump. They were afraid of telling him everything because they were afraid he would spring his yap, and he did.
I heard that.
Cannot
He
keep
did.
quiet.
Huh?
The Trump cannot keep his mouth shut.
No, he couldn't keep his mouth shut. I mean, do you really trust a guy, Phil, who can't keep a secret and is president of the United States? I mean, do you feel
Yes.
I
safe
think
with
there
that?
should be secrets.
What?
I don't think he thought there should be secrets. That he wanted to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Like the stealth fighter plane, right?
Hey, you know,
was-
I want to know
If
if
he were
there's
transparent,
UFOs.
if he were,
I want to know who killed Kennedy. You know, at least in my lifetime, I'd like to know.
that was Biden. It was Hunter Biden
Yeah.
killed
Well, you know,
Kennedy.
probably, but you know, they told us that 50 years after his death, that they were going to open
That's
up.
not what
all-
they said. That's not what
Hmm?
they said. No,
What was it?
they said that
Warren
50
Commission?
years after the last person died, who was around at the time, of the families, they would then reveal it. But it
Well,
was a
if
matter
he-
of protecting. It was a matter of protecting families like the
Yep.
Kennedy family and so on and so forth.
Well, of the immediate family, the only one left is Carolyn, right? And
Caroline.
Is she still alive? Yeah, I guess she's
Caroline is.
Yes.
I don't know. You know, like there's so many brothers and nieces and nephews.
Well,
I
when
mean,
the last one goes, when Caroline goes or whatever, count 50 years and then they'll release it all.
Those Kennedys are very prolific.
I
The
still say,
cigarette smoking man killed Kennedy. I saw it.
well, no, if you really, you know, my theory and the one that I believe in, I think it was the mob. I think it was definitely the mob.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, the mob. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
it was
think-
Lee Harvey Oswald
I
the
think
mob.
one of the reasons why we were never told that is because America doesn't want to feel that our president died as a result of a mob hit. And there were a lot of mobsters who hated Kennedy.
I
They
heard
were
it.
especially
they were
because-
pissed at Robert.
Well, yeah,
Pissed at
Robert Kennedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I heard was that it was the CIA and that they
Nah.
were pissed because he didn't back the Bay of Pigs Cuba invasion. And I think it was Robert Kennedy that alluded to that. The guy that's
Well,
running.
Robert Kennedy was the person they couldn't stand because you
Well,
got to
Robert
realize
Kennedy-
the mob did help Kennedy get elected.
Yeah, no, not Kennedy's brother.
Junior.
His
No,
nephew.
Junior. Phil, Robert Kennedy Jr. is claiming that the CIA killed his father. That's what he claims. I just heard him talk about it yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Was that the Piers Morgan interview, or?
I heard him on Piers Morgan, and I also
who was
heard him
this?
on
Wait a
the
minute.
Bill Maher
Who
podcast.
was this?
RFK Jr., the guy that's running
RFK
for president.
Oh, that nutcase. Yeah.
He claims for sure, and I don't believe him, but he claims for sure that the CIA killed his father, not Sirhan Sirhan.
No, I think it was the mob. I think it was Sam. It was this guy. I'm trying to remember this guy who. What happened was, Robert Kennedy had this mobster kidnapped and taken to South America and dropped off in the middle of a jungle. And it was this guy who then came back, or at least got within reach of the United States, and then called the hit on Kennedy. And it was
you're talking about John Kennedy?
No, Robert Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
But they wanted to kill John Kennedy because, as they felt, if you cut the head off the snake, the rest of the body can't work, right? So that to get to Robert Kennedy, you did that, and I think Robert Kennedy later was also killed as a result of the mob, because what happened was Joe Kennedy had an alliance with the mob, who helped him get his son elected. And when that happened, they felt, okay, we got an in the White House, we can have the next 4 years doing whatever we want to do. And instead, Robert Kennedy decided to go after them. And this pissed them off. And that's why I think that, there was a motivation for the mob to kill off John
Kennedy was a bootlegger.
You disagree, Vernon? Does this all make sense to you?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Yes, Al.
So Joe Kennedy went to Sam Giancana, the head of the Illinois mob or whatever at the time.
Yeah.
And asked him to, help get his son elected. And usually when you ask the mob to do something, they expect a favor in return. And the favor that the president gave him was Robert Kennedy, and that was bad. So, and I think that Sam Giancana probably ordered the hit.
No, probably not Giancana. Not Sam.
Wasn't it Giancana's girlfriend that Kennedy was banging?
Yeah. Well, Kennedy was banging her, and Giancana.
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh no, somebody else.
Judith Exner.
Exner.
Yeah.
Right. But he was also banging. What did I just say? What was the actress?
He was banging everybody.
I know.
Well,
Yes.
Would you bang Marilyn Monroe if you could?
I just have a quick question. I
talked to a stripper by the name of Blaze Starr, who was having sex with Kennedy, and she told me that they always had it standing up in a closet because he couldn't do it lying down because he had a bad back.
By the back, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Ray.
Frozen.
Aliens.
I'm frozen?
No, you're not frozen. Now you're okay.
Okay.
Now you're okay.
I just had a question. Do you think that Oswald was a patsy and that he had nothing to do with it?
Probably set up to do the hit too.
I think it was a patsy, yeah.
I think he was a patsy, but I think he was a willing patsy.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jack Ruby had mob connections, nightclub owner, and the mob said, "Go silence him."
Yeah.
He didn't have long to live. Jack Ruby.
And then my second question is, so Robert Kennedy, do you believe that Sirhan Sirhan had anything to do with that?
Yes.
He pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he was on film.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to see what you thought. So.
Now, Robert Jr. said that there were multiple guns that.
Why are you quoting Robert
bullets.
Jr.? That guy is.
Well, because he's an interesting guy.
No, he's not. What is interesting about him?
He would know more
he's
about
a moron.
his father's.
He's a moron.
Wait a minute, Alex.
He's
He
a
would know more about
moron.
his father's
He's a
assassination.
His father.
We would.
He would know more about it. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Especially.
Then why is he speculating on stuff rather than saying this is true?
Some of the things he's not speculating on. He said, as a fact, that there were 5 different guns that were discharged when his father was assassinated, and they found bullet casings from 5 different guns.
He says that. We don't know that that's true.
We don't, but
I heard him say that, but we don't.
Just because he says it doesn't mean it's true, Phil.
I don't remember hearing that he was there when Robert Kennedy, when his dad got
wasn't.
shot.
He got information because he's.
How come there was only one hole in Robert Kennedy's head?
Well, that's precisely it, Phil. He got information.
Yes, but he's dedicated a major part of his life to learning what happened to his father.
Why?
Yeah, but he also believes that vaccines kill kids, and
I think that's blown out of proportion.
But he says it's blown out of proportion.
Why do you defend scumbags? Why do you defend scumbags?
Well, he's a Democratic scumbag.
Yeah.
You know, I like a Democrat. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Don't we hear the music now that Phil's done?
But I liked Andrew Yang.
No, I got a minute yet.
I liked Andrew Yang, and I kind of like Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, yeah.
That's because he's
Kennedy
a nut
Jr.
job.
is scary because he sounds really smart, and he has all of these ideas with no backing, really. He states stuff that are as fact when they're not. He's a really scary dude.
I know, but he does sound smart, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Well, so does DeSantis until he opens his mouth.
By the way, suddenly I have a prediction. It came to me today. And it's too late for Phil to start talking about it because we're going to play the theme in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
I think Biden's going to beat the pants off of anybody that runs against him. That's my prediction. Come back again in like a year and a half and prove me wrong.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think he's
Of course
going to
you
run.
don't think so.
I think that I give it a 40% chance he doesn't run.
You don't think he's going to run? He already, interesting.
I don't think he's going to run.
Already running.
He's already.
What do you base that on?
Look, if he said he's not going to run,
Robert
he's
Kennedy
now a
Jr.
lame duck. If
But
he's-
what?
You know, he doesn't want to be a lame duck, so he says he's running.
Yeah, but what do you base on? What are you basing your idea that he's not going to run on? He said he's going to run.
I think he's cognitively challenged. He's just too old.
But Trump is 3 years younger.
Donald Trump is
I don't
worse.
think that Trump can handle the job.
I don't think he's.
okay.
Let me just say this, Phil. He's not cognitively challenged. I think he appears to be because he's old. Also because he was a stutterer all his life, and that's what you seem to think is an inability to think straight or whatever. He's fine. He's absolutely fine. And you watch, he'll win because who you got? You got DeSantis and you got Trump. Blah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
The other problem
listen,
is
that's
may
it. The
not
theme
make
is
it.
running, and I got to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you, Ray, for
a
joining
good
us
weekend.
tonight. And I love seeing that flying saucer outside your window, UFO. And also thank you to
That burning orb.
to Alan. And Vernon, nice seeing you again. Always nice seeing you. Charlie, au revoir. See you next week. Probably see you on Monday. Phil, have a nice weekend. We won't
you.
see you on Monday.
Wasn't nice
And
seeing you.
of course, Jeff, always good to see you too. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, folks. That's our citizens panel for tonight. Yeah, there they go. I'm Alex Bennett, and that's it for tonight. Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection. He'll be here using Skype, and you can call him at Gabnet Live. Gabnet Live on Skype. I'll see you again on Monday for the pop-up show. That'll be on Facebook at 4 o'clock, and then next Wednesday, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.